now for the emerging tech panel discussion on how data analytics backed by AI and ML is transforming the BFSI sector. We're looking at talking about CX, the investment advisory, the RPA in banking, fraud detection and risk management, regulatory compliance, and equity predictions. Well, we have with us our incredible panelists who have joined us today. Amit Saxena, Deputy Chief Technology Officer, SPI, a Global Deputy Chief Officer, Technology Officer with over 22 years plus of experience, an excellent leader with exposure in conceptualizing and architecting very complex and big strategic transformation technical projects and influencing stakeholder views on acceptable investment. We also have with us Ashish Oja, the VP ITI Finance, a rare blend of technology and business acumen. Ashish has over 12 years of leadership experience in various fast-paced organizations and in multiple domains, such as investment banking, SME lending, media, and energy. He's an engineering graduate and an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata, and he's worked in the UK and US for different banks. Also, we have Anish Agarwal, the Director of Data and Analytics, Royal Bank of Scotland. Anish is recognized as top 100 influential leaders in Asian analytics industry and top 40 under 40 data scientists in India. Anish is a professional with over 19 plus years of experience with exceptional expertise of delivering value through innovative use of data across a spectrum of industry verticals. He's an alumnus of Harvard Business School and MIT Sloan Business School and is a visiting guest faculty in a number of Tier 1 colleges and universities in India. We also have Ayaskant Mohapatra, the Chief Executive Information Officer, BOB Financial Solutions Limited. Well, Ayaskant, with 20 years of experience working in the BFSI domain, where he's got the rare chance to be a part of the founding member to set up the business model, privileged to work with MNCs as well as big brands in India. He's a strong believer of adopting digital journey by means of AI, ML, or big data, or using omni-channels to connect with the customers. And this entire panel discussion is going to be moderated by Dr. Mukesh Mehta, Chief Technology Officer, Batliwala and Karani Securities. Well, Dr. Mukesh is an entrepreneurial mindset, strategic technology executive, a skilled communicator, also known for revolutionary experimentation and groundbreaking projects in HCI. He has constantly delivered award-winning projects with a career spanning over 24 years. Mukesh currently is a CIO of country's large brokerage house, tapped to modernize and turn around strategy function, having led 200 plus professionals who relied on on the data technologies and practices. So ladies and gentlemen, we're extremely proud to have all our esteemed panelists over to the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhavna, for the introduction. It's a privilege to have to moderate the esteemed panel. And one thing when I was working on the basic notes on this thing, I realized very rarely you have all the panel member with the A's, and so we have 4 aces of the entire the pack, and my name starts from the M, so which is the 13th digit, so 13 4 are 52, so you become a complete pack. So that is one thing which is very unique and rare. I had been in the panels for many years, but this is one thing rarely it has been seen. And welcome everybody, welcome all 4 aces of my panels. Today we are discussing about the very interesting topic, how the new data analysis is backed with the AI and ML is transforming the digital business and transforming the entire BFSI segment. When we talk about AI, when we talk about the data, the ML and all those things, we have lot of things which can cover into, whether it's a chatbot, RPAs, processes. You can change the processes through automations. Automation itself is AI ML. Then you can have a fraud detections, price detections, the interest rate detections, and interest rate predictions, not detections. And lot of things can be done through the typical AI and the ML. When you use the data, and I have the data scientists in my panel, so they will be more into this thing. When we talk about the AI, when we talk about the AML, let's go back around 10 or 15 or 20 years back, how the technology journey has grown in last 20 years. We started with typical standalone servers, then the dot-com burst comes into early 2000. Then we had a little bit of ERPs and enterprise technology, enterprise IT. Then the world started in when we come around 2009, 10, the world started on the cloud, and now everything is today, everything is a cloud. We don't need to talk who is a cloud, what is a cloud. Then in 2014, 15, the cloud started to HCI started to the digital transformation. And this is where the now the AI ML is taking the entire control of the entire the technology part. When we talk about the BFSI is always a front runner to adopt the new technologies. So this is where we have all the technologies running into the experimentation we do innovation, we do transformations. So this is why we BFSI always are the front runners or the torch bearers of the new initiative, new technologies. So I would take give a 1 or 2 minute, although Bhavna has introduced everybody. So just a minute or two for every panelist if they want to say something about this. Then we go into the panel discussions. Anybody who want to introduce or say something about individual which Bhavna might have missed out.
Yes, good afternoon. Thanks for that warm introduction. And that's too much reading in the data, right? 4 A's and the 52. So never ever thought that's one of the parlance that you can apparently draw even from a small data set of the panelists. Perhaps, I just wanted to spend quick 1 minute on setting the tone. And as you rightly said, AI and ML are very rightly transforming the business in today's concept. And, if you look at the industrial revolution, they only happen once in a blue moon. And yet we find ourselves in the process of profound revolution, the artificial intelligence revolution. And over 200 years ago, we experienced the first industrial revolution when the steam engines apparently were invented. And a century later, we invented electricity. And a century after that, the internet. And like all of these discoveries, AI has revolutionized the economy and has disrupted, I would say, every industry that we can perhaps think of. And closer, to home, if we talk about the financial services side of the story from AI, fraud prevention, algorithmic trading, personalized banking, are some of the key aspects or some of the key areas which AI is today touching. Many fintech companies are leveraging AI to provide personalized banking services to their customers. And then a customer can get a unique portfolio of financial instruments based on their risk appetite, maybe based on a personalized financial plan as well, and spending pattern, income and goals as well. And we can expect to see more personalized banking services as the AI progresses. That's a quick opening remark from me. Back to the panel. Thank you.
Any other, or should we start the panel?
Yeah, Mukesh, okay. I'd like to take minutes inside. So, yeah. My career was started with FMCG, but I've spent quite a good amount of time in BFSI segment. So, I came from a background from more into capital market and the banking industry, and I'm now part of kind of a credit loan or kind of bank. So, my primary is basically SME loans and giving a card industry. So I've seen both those verticals, business verticals, and AI very powerfully used in my previous kind of assignment on this side, where it was what we just touched upon, Bhavna touched upon that algorithmic trading, and Nasis also pointed out something on that. So we have quietly launched quite a product called Health Score, so which is basically driven by AI platform, which we combine analytical data and technical analysis, fundamental analysis, plus news, what is current affairs news, and try to do out some algorithm and give a kind of notification to the customer, so keep them engaging on this side. And in my current assignment, I'm also very fan of AI. I'm just started using that one more into fraud detection and analyzing the customer spend and which area they are going to spend. And when we can do a marketing campaign, just like right now, Amazon is not more into delivering electronic goods or might be the whatever things. So right now, the more into kind of Amazon pantry, right? So we try to make out an offer that how I can penetrate my customers use more into and get some discount over there so that my spend increases. Plus I get my data analytics that where the customer spends is going on. So I'm seeing a very big future for AI and the powered by data. Basically AI can't run without data. So both goes hands on hand. So I'm a big fan of digital and I very like to see this is a positive way to move forward to take the industry ahead. That's it.
Amit, you would like to do, or we'll start the panel? Ashish,
Let's
or okay. Let's.
Uh,
My first
uh,
question. Yeah, Ashish.
just
Yeah.
just briefly, I also agree with all the panelists. I have worked previously with the service industry, and now mostly last 2 3 years I've been working with the lending organizations. One thing that I would
I think we lost. I lost you. I think we had free. Uh, I think we had lost Ashish. So let's move. And Amit, I come to you as my first panel. My first question to the panel. When we talk about the BFSI, when we talk about the data in the BFSI, the precision of the data is a vital, and everything evolves around the data precision, where how correct the data is and how correct the prediction is there. Do you think as of now, and when we talk, the AML
I would
has
say
analytics is mature enough to deliver such the required data accuracy?
Right, and good afternoon to everybody. And let me take up this question. State Bank of India have taken over the transformation
hello.
of transforming the bank itself, the way we are moving forward.
I
And
think
I think
I,
Ashish, we lost you, and so that's why we
right.
started the
Yeah,
to Amit. I'll come back to you.
sure. I think some other video started playing in between.
Ashish, Amit, you start. I think I'll come back to Ashish. Yeah.
okay,
Sure.
so so what we have done, and I will tell you with an example how the transformation journey at SBI is being taken. Say, for example, Dr. Mukesh is a very good person. He banks with State Bank of India. We know about your investment. We know about you have taken a home loan, and we know that you have a grown-up kids. When your kids are going to colleges, we are using the spending pattern. We are applying, artificial intelligence to that. And so, Priya, you can ask, and we know you have got an aspiration that your kids can want to study abroad. We are going to give you a loan without you asking about it. That's the first step. The second step, what we are looking at, that once your children have gone through the education part of it, and when they are ready to come out and join a new job itself, we are going to give you a loan without collateral. That's a machine learning, because in those 3 4 years we have understood how well you have been working and what's your spend itself. So basis that what we are looking at, and it's in a native stage itself, right? We are talking of, people should be able to get their home, their dreams, aspirations fulfilled through a full digital platform. For that, we have built in a platform which is called Yono, right? So it's a full digital bank platform. So if you want to, say for example, you want to start buying a home, we have got a integration with our reality arm, which is SBI Reality, which have got a pre-approved homes available. So with a VR, you can look at the home inside in these days, and you would get that loan approved without any work to be done. Once that loan is approved, you want to furnish your home. You have got an integration with online marketplace like Amazon, etc. You get the deals. You have to get your interiors done. You get those deals on Yono itself, right? Those are exclusive deals. Those are not available at any other place. Now, once you have done your housewarming, you are very excited, right? Then you start worrying about what would happen to my home if I'm not going to have a security built in. So for that purpose, we have got an integration with our GI and LI for life insurance and general insurance. That would help you to have a 360-degree view. And behind all of these, what you are going to get as a life insurance premium, what you are going to get as a general insurance premium. There's a AI and a ML data-driven engine which is working. It's not going to be same for every person. So what we are saying that in coming days, BFSI is going to change. It's going to be not a service on once you ask for it, but it would be a service which would be provided without you being asking for it. And State Bank of India is on a forefront to take that digital initiative and change the whole digital space for the banking industry. Thank you very much, Mukesh.
This looks really very interesting. You are managing the entire life cycle of a human being rather than other thing. Anish, I come to you. Anything which you had done on any homework on the data accuracy or the precision of the data, how accurate it is coming, and how important is the data accuracy?
Mukesh, yes. So apparently, data accuracy and data quality forms comes at the forefront of whatever we want to do aspirationally, whether it's data and analytics, machine learning, or even AI, as a matter of fact. And one of the challenges that we understood was if we were able to sort out the data inception right at the source system, the overall data flow in this in the entire customer journey would be far more accurate. Majority of banks have inherited a number of systems owing to mergers and acquisitions, and a number of systems are legacy systems, which means that they have limited ability to talk to the current modern systems, or the data that gets churned out has limited ability to be used in the current parlance of algorithms. What we did was we ensured that as a part of the data transformation program, what we do is we try to get rid of the legacy systems, integrate the systems into modern platforms. That means right at the inception, when the information is input in the system, it's actually ready for use. That's one. The second is we also wanted to ensure that the overall availability of data is not democratized to a full extent, why not everyone's got access to write the data, but there are a specific set of users who can only create data. And for the rest of the business, it's all about having providing the read-only access to data. That meant that the accountability of data quality rested with certain limited group of individuals, which meant that the overall data that was available for analysis and and further review was much greater, accurate. We also, and from what I've read, data privacy by design is something that we look at. That's the second bit. And third is the data lineage. How is the data flowing from one system to another? Are we able to get a single view of the customer? To do the example that Amit gave, a customer starts with picking a home loan, and then there is some other product that the customer gives. Are we able to create a single customer view where all our systems are talking to each other? So if a bank as a customer, as me as a customer wants, what all products and services do I hold that's readily available? So these are a few of the things that we've done.
Excellent. This is something now from data source to data ownership. That's one of the critical thing. I will come back to you on that. The ownership is one of the critical thing in the entire data journey. I ask, do you need would you like to have some points of how the data accuracy is managed by at Bob?
Yeah, that's thanks, Anish. What you mentioned is very right on this side. If you do not have the building blocks very clearly stable and the kind of accuracy, the result what is coming out through is just like garbage in, garbage out kind of thing, right? So in Bob Financial, what are doing that one? So that we spend good amount of time to data cleansing and data cleanup and wise. We have a lot of data earlier available, but there is various source where you can gather data, right? So we need to put it to a very structured way so that I get the power of AI and ML to give me actually output what I'm looking for or my business is looking for. So I'll say that a lot of generation was happening to try to analyze the pattern, what is happening. We started gathering data from customer queries, the complaints, the contact center queries, from emails, whatever the way, plus the transaction data. So it took good amount of time spent over there to clean up the data, and the ownership of data also defined so that we know the proper input has been coming to the system, the source, the data lake, what you mentioned on this side, so that my AI runs on this side. Initially, we have a lot of manual checks over there to see that whether my AI data is coming out correctly as a human being data kind of thing. And when we found it's 90-95% accuracy is there, then we understood our data storage model has been worked properly. So now we are more into kind of gathering data rather than cleaning the data, kind of, and in the front end, and now tweaking the AI part, what should be giving us as output. That's just my experience in recent kind of thing. In past, because we're more into kind of a capital market domain on this side, so where data is every day is a new data is a new things every day, and every day you have very new what is not kind of predictive kind of thing once, right? So there we got little challenge over there, but somehow we fix it, saying that what we want, we don't want kind of thing. And I think this is now stable and we are ready to take off.
Good, from data classification to ownership to the pattern. We are
Yeah.
really going in a right direction. Ashish, what about your experience on the data usage in the AI and ML BFSI projects?
Um, so I think the data is the key part in the entire AI and ML journey. For us, we are using multiple algorithms, multiple places. The one is for the acquisition of customer. Uh, we are in a space where our customer doesn't have much financial information. We are into SME lending, MS, basically micro lending space. So we are doing a lot of analytics on the data captured from the customer as well as from the industry. Like we do the customer cluster based lending, say shoemaking cluster. So we are giving business loans. So there is a lot of data that we get from the cluster. Also, we do the analysis of the MSME, like what kind of inventory he has. So traditionally, when we started the business, a lot of these things were done manually. But now by doing the image analytics, now we are able to gather that kind of data, and we are able to make out that what kind of inventory he has and what kind of business margins or business what is the business volume that he is going through, because we do not get much information from their financial statement. These kind of data that we get and we analyze, and we have built the model so that we can accurately predict his cash flow, and on that basis we are trying to give the loans. And then at the same time there are other parameters like the other panelist mentioned, Amit from SBI, that what education his kids are going through. So all those kind of data, and then we have captured historical data. So the model rightly predicts the propensity of the default of this customer, and that's how we give the new loan. So in this entire loan journey, that's how we use the machine learning and the model. The other part is the revenue leakages. So controlling the delinquency is also very important in our business. So basis, we also do multiple visits to the customer and all the customer visits to our premises. So we have multiple data points. His repayment history. So we have say 10 lakh or 20 lakh repayment history of the different customer from different geography or a cluster. So on that basis, we have created a model which helps us in predicting the early delinquency. So those kind of models we are also using, and these are only possible through data, and that's how we are reducing our leakages. That is helping us in reducing our, the bottom line, and as well as the increasing the revenue by identifying the right set of customers.
That's a good insight, actually. Yes, and from one of the largest bank of SBI, largest bank, to a small SME. So we have a huge diversity. We have a huge this thing. So
Right. In fact, uh,
when we talk about I'll come when we talk about the data, when we talk about the user and other thing, ultimately data is of the user. Data comes from the user. So
right.
again, the immediate concern comes about the how safe and effectively we are using that data of the end users, without the compromising on the data security. I don't want to put out the names, but we in the last few years, we have many incidents when the data leakage is a normal. It's almost a normal data leakage or all these things. So my question to the panel is how safe and effectively we are using the data of the user without compromising on the security part. So
No, I
maybe
think, Mukesh, to answer you that question, there are proper governance and mechanism that has to be put in place to avoid any data leakages. And again, it depends on how do you want to, what kind of, data storage or what kind of encryption or security mechanism that you are using. So the security is key part, but I think with proper governance structure, we are able to secure that data. I'm sure the other panelists might be having a diverse view.
yes, data security is the right point. But what about the uh, malfunctioning or the issues coming during the AI or ML activities like chatbot doing some wrong predictions, or some your RPS doing wrong things. The security or the data governance is a altogether big different this thing. But how do we manage those things? The learning experience or the failures of the chatbots or the the RPAs or all those things. Anish, would you like to take this?
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps, that I can break down your question into two aspects. One is the data security, and the second is the bias element that you are perhaps, referring to.
Exactly.
And, if I was to talk about, there are three key ways using which we can prevent the algorithmic bias. The first is whenever we're doing a set of analysis, we can use a representative data set, which means we can feed our algorithms with the data which has, and rather the characteristic which is most important. And placing all different types of data or in groups into a data set can be challenging, but not least because we will need to segment the data to be sure that we have properly grouped and managed it. The second is it is very, very important that we choose the right model. Within AI and machine learning, it's all about algorithms, and we need to ensure that we're using the right model. And it is important to utilize the best possible model for the problem at hand. Considering the limitations to each model and potential bias issues. As an example, supervised learning, may prove more accurate, but can be subject to human biases and cognitive limitations. Unsupervised learning can be quicker to train, but many maybe more prone to errors if the data set has inconsistencies. And third is continuous monitoring and reviewing is really, really important. Testing is paramount to the success of any application in machine learning. And what's more important, however, is to do as much real world testing as possible is on real world data sets as well. That's the bias element. When we talk about the security part, I think there are 5 key things. One, an organization needs to have a robust security policy in place. They should start developing a set of guidelines or best practices that every employee is expected to follow. That's one. The second is investing in the right technology to keep the data safe. The third is maintaining passwords and keeping the devices secure. In the current context where everyone's working from home, I think it's an accountability which rests with the organization to ensure that the IT asset is secure, which actually means that there are adequate avenues available for colleagues to store the information on the cloud, which is secure, as opposed to offering data to be saved on the local drives or any other agile drive as well. Provide security education. I think this is one area which their organization lack. They don't really educate the employees on the importance of data security. Data security for me is a license to operate. If I'm not able to keep my data secure, I may actually lose my license to operate as a bank, or not just as a bank, but any organization. Today, the media and press is hungry to capture articles or information or bits on organization which perhaps may be failing to maintain the data. To an extent, something as simple as the Arogya Setu app has been at the epicenter of discussion that the data isn't safe and what's really happening around that. And the fifth one is, which is important, is maintaining the compliance with the regulations. Today, regulators also prescribe a lot of rules which needs to be followed by organizations to make sure the data is safe. So if we are able to actually achieve the bare minimum, we will be able to achieve a lot from a data security perspective. That's my view, Mukesh.
Amit, coming to you, like Yono is one of the biggest user base, one of the largest user base of the app in India. So how do you manage the user experience or the experience of the teenagers? In the name itself is your target audience is the teenagers or the young adults. So how do you, where the experience is more critical, and how do you make that use without compromising on the security part or data leakage or data challenges with respect to the data?
Right. So I would take the question in 2 parts, trying to explain it with respect to the customer experience. So once we started this digital transformation journey in State Bank of India, our first focus was that every transaction should be and could be completed into 3 steps, right? It's a generation of instant gratification, a generation which wants instantly results outcoming, and they do not believe that however big we are, they want those results. That's why if you see the new fintechs and the startups have been very successful because they are able to provide that gratification very quickly. So in Yono, whatever transaction you are trying to do, it won't cross more than 3 steps. You can try it yourself. So if you want a loan, you would get a notification basis AI ML engine which is running in the background. You click on that notification. If you are eligible for that, the money would be credited into your account in next 10 minutes. No other step is needed. You have to just click on that notification. I accept, right? So that's where we are coming out, changing the customer experience. Also having said that, we are not only targeting ourselves to the millennials, but we are looking at our people who are associated with agriculture. So over here, we run basically a machine learning algorithm for people who are associated with agriculture. You would see if there's an upcoming cyclone in a particular section of the country. We'll tell by a notification to all our people who are related with agriculture that you can avail a gold loan, and why don't you submit your gold within the bank, so you would have a gold loan opportunity available on YONO itself. You don't need to visit the branch. You can complete everything online. The only time you have to come to a branch to submit your gold. That's it. The second part to take up from the data privacy. What we have seen that the data privacy, you have to club into two parts. So there are outlier data elements which are not covered under the testing per se, and all your RPA processes which we have designed, if they are going forward and they are unable to test it, you can have a potential data privacy problem. So we always try to, whenever we are launching something like that, we try to look out for the outliers first of all. Regular steps are always tested through the process itself, but the outliers always give both on the positive outlier as well as the negative outlier. Let me try explaining it from an aspect that outliers.
Let's focus on the data part and rather than the application inflow. I come to you one of the other aspect of the data. Like when we developed a particular app or particular applications, what are the typical challenges we are facing? Whether the technology is a challenge, whether the vendors are challenge, or the skills of the in-house team is a challenge. What are the learnings from the failures? How much percentage of the development or the other things is put on the experimentation? And when we talk about the experimentation or the failures, the big question comes the cost pressure from the CEO or CFO desk. So how do you manage those things, these challenges on the vendors, in-house team, the CEO, CFO desk, and the learning and the failures?
Yeah, I will take it, Mukesh. Separate questions as kind of there is a mixed answer to it. I don't see there is a challenge over selecting a vendor with now a lot of partners are available and a lot of skill sets available in the market. I see two challenges over understanding the data, the ownership of data, and how much depth you have understood the data. That is now critical challenge, and that's what if you don't do correctly, there is a chance and it tends to a failure. I'll say very clearly on the sides, like we have data, all people know the data, and we will all know that there is a lot of sources where you can accumulate data. The key element to have your ML or AI platform to be very stable and give a correct output as you required is understanding the data. How depth you understood the data and what is your handling on the data. If that is done correctly, that you can partner with any tech partners or any development tools or any tools available in the market, will get a result output on this side. Second point which be there, you need to be very careful and keep your eyes on the failure points on the AIs, or what is the output coming out from the machine learning or the AIs. So you have to learn from the mistake and very carefully. I'll give you an example. Suppose a few days before, contact center was very keen at for every business, right? Everybody like to call the toll-free number to get their queries answered, right? Nowadays, you start from any app. I'll just give you a few examples, not the very specific name. Everybody has a WhatsApp integration, right? Instead of calling them, and this is learned during the COVID situation. So COVID had taught everybody the life in the nation that there is nobody, no agent available in the office, though you call. So you're a long queue, either your call would be answered, right? So that's what the power would come out, and the people start integrating the chatbot. And WhatsApp is a very popular platform in India. Starting from anybody, from any senior guy, any junior guy, everybody has a WhatsApp, right? Now we'll talk about WhatsApp. So now the moment I integrate with my AI platform in the WhatsApp, so I saw there is a 40 to 40% query got reduced. That means the call got reduced in my contact center, right? And people have started relying on WhatsApp because that is instant, and whatever they don't have to wait in the queue. And any moment, 24/7, there is no night shift, there is no day shift, there is no morning shift. Whenever you feel that you have time, you just pick up your phone, just ping hi, you'll get a response. And that is very user friendly something. And that is very much possible because my organization, my team, they have understood the data very correctly, so that I'm able to disseminate the information in WhatsApp platform very effectively. And that's what my hit ratio is 45% now. I'm a very long way to go. I'm seeing a lot of things. I'm trying to put a voice over here, but yet to come out on that. The moment it come out,
Yeah, yes, I agree. WhatsApp integration has been almost a blessing in this COVID and pandemic situation.
yeah.
Anish, how about the challenges you are facing when selecting a vendor or the technology or the CFO CEO pressure for the cost?
See, I have a slightly different view. When we talk about technology or even and that's more related from a data standpoint, we we have a view where we differentiate the cost versus investment. So we will look at it as an investment as opposed to a cost. And we also try to maintain a rigor on what will be the return on investment. So we not much we track the return on cost. We all try to monitor the return on investment, and that's what we do as well. So what exactly are the tangible benefits that this investment is drawing? And trust me, on an average, it's if I was to extrapolate the level of ROI that we get, it's minimum 50x to against what's been invested. That's the power.
Yes, that I agree. I agree that sometimes the return is about but what about the failure points, like some project fails or something which is the chatbots or are not, once you are selected, it doesn't work. Maybe if you or maybe Ashish can take it, how when the failure points, yes, the success rate, I agree that 10x, 20x, 50x, but the failure points, experimentation points.
But yeah, we do fail. So that's a part of the overall rhythm. And but we are conscious we would not put anything to the live phase unless we've actually conducted a rigorous POC. Because I'm sure you would agree that banks are one such institutions where the overall temperament of customer is very, very fragile, and because it's all about money. So we cannot go wrong with a product or a service which hasn't actually been passed through a rigorous POC, and that's what we maintain.
Ashish, would you
I
like
think,
to?
yeah, I think very valid point said. But again, the failure depends on what is the cost of failure. If I'm using one algorithm or certain application, in which area I'm putting that, because naturally when we go live, then most of your learning comes in. Before that, you capture a lot of data and then you put the model. For example, the image-based learning model that for inventory calculation, that model had a lot of challenge initially. So we put in that model, but that model, failure of that model doesn't have any direct bearing on the business or the customer. So that's why we took some time to improvise that model. So again, the cost of failure has to be looked at. If it is a very critical and a customer is directly impacted, where money is impacted, it's absolutely no without thoroughly testing the model. So that's what my take is. And model do fail. Out of 10 model, maybe 2 or 3 model will be success. So that is the part and parcel of the journey of the IML.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. The failure is also critical because the learning, you have to be
True.
quick learner and quick adapter and quick mover, because otherwise,
Yes.
the competitor will take it forward. We
Without
are
failure, you cannot learn. Yeah.
we are on a running short of time. Maybe on one quick last question where everybody can have a maximum a minute or something like that. A few tips to our peers, or few tips, suggestions to our peers, typical do's and don'ts when we go into this any AI ML projects, or the how the transformation of the data should happen through the AI ML in the BFS, particularly precisely on the BSFI segment. A quick 30 seconds to around for each of us. Ashish, Amit, you take. Amit, you are on mute.
Amit, you are in mute.
Okay. So first thing, what we should do here, we go on an AI ML journey, is to do a data classification and data purity, right? A lot of time, there's a lot of legacy data, and certainly in a bank of our size, there's a lot of legacy data which need to be cleared up, first of all. Then take up a AI ML journey, your models would be much more successful than you may imagine it. That's it from my side.
Anish, your last take.
So I would say data is at heart and data never sleeps. So if you have the right systems, right aptitude in terms of what do we need to really do, and the aspiration to change the existing ecosystem, I think that clearly there's a lot of scope.
Ayas and Ashish, one.
Yeah, I will say that let's have this. I say I repeated the same thing. Let's understand our data. What is very critical. Secondly, let ready for the failure points and let not the system fail. Let not the process fail. Be backed up with that one. So I did in my example. Whenever the bot is not able to answer for 2 seconds, that there is a guy or the human being to take over. So that bot also learning, and the AI needs to learn every day. The moment you stop learning, AI is going to fail. So let's not do that one. Keep the bot learning, keep the AI feed the data and information every day, every moment you learn from the mistakes. That's what the key
Ashish,
challenge about this.
Ashish, your last.
So I think I will talk about the from a beginner's perspective. There are a lot of panelists who might be starting the AI and ML journey. From a data standpoint, definitely there are challenges, but there are a lot of auto ML models which are available. That will initially in the beginning that will ease away the burden and help them in the initial learning cycle in the building the model. So I suggest that they should explore those models as well. And naturally, as a business, there are a lot of precautions and a lot of data at heart, a lot of learning which we will keep on doing. That's all.
I think we are being told that we are running out of short of time. We are running thing. Quick thanks to everybody. And one small disclaimer, one small point. The views expressed by all individuals are at individual capacity. There's nothing related to, they don't represent, they're not related to organizational point of view. It's purely as individual, at an individual capacity. So that's a critical disclaimer I want to put on everyone's behalf. So thanks everybody. We had a very good discussions from data storage, data security, data ownership, education, the learnings, the failures, entire things of where which the data is hard from end to end. We had a good discussion. I thank everybody for this excellent discussions. Keep safe, keep happy, keep fit, keep healthy. See you sometime very soon in a physical rather than the virtual conference.
Yeah,
Over to you,
thanks,
Bhavna.
Mukesh. Thanks,
Thanks,
Mukesh.
Thank
Mukesh.
you. Thank you so much, Mukesh, Shazkant, Anish, Ashish, and Amit for joining us on this incredible final panel discussion, which was an emerging tech panel. It was an absolute honor to have you all.